Hey, what's going on, everybody? You are checking out my Stamina Templar PVP build for Summerset. I'm calling this the Unstoppable build for Stamplar. And I've been having a blast with this lately in Battlegrounds. It's a good mix, I think, of just balanced stats overall. So a lot of stamina, a lot of weapon damage, a lot of resistances, and just good overall survivability. So if you want to do a ton of damage and stay alive and help your team and win, then this is the build for you. Check it out. Alright, let's check out the stats first. So about 10k magicka, 17, almost 18k health. That'll jump up to about 22k in PvP. You got about 35k stamina, which is looking really good. Stamina recovery is a little bit low, 1600, but that does not matter too much because we're using Repentance. And then weapon damage, 3k, weapon critical, about 50%. Let's go ahead and buff those up really quick. So your weapon damage will go up to about 3400 with your rally buff, and then about 4k with our weapon damage buff. And then if you saw it there, Templars do have that built-in crit on jab, so about 60% crit overall, which is really nice. For the resistances, we can look actually at our back bar with our defending trait and our defensive rune, almost 30k spell resistance, which is awesome. 26k physical resist and 2400 crit resist. So playing into what I talked about before, which is a good balance of offensive and defensive stats, really making this build work. We went with everything into stamina, using the Thief Mundus just because I think crit really synergizes well on the Stamplar, and we had enough weapon damage and stamina, so I wanted to boost that. We're using Dubious as the drink, and then for our race, obviously Red Guard, you could choose Orc. If you wanted a little bit more offensive capability, Red Guard's really nice and no CP though for that extra sustain. As far as our potions, really quickly, you have some options. I like, if you can afford it, the Essence of Immovability. You've got the speed here, which we really want because we're not running a gap closer. You've got the stamina, which is a must-have. And then you've got the 10 seconds of immune to disabling effects, which is really nice for opening up your burst. And if you don't have access to that, another easier alternative is just Essence of Speed. So that's, again, Major Expedition, really important, and Max Stamina. So either of those would be good. So moving on to our gear. We're going to start with the defensive and survivability set. So we went with 5 pieces of fortified brass. We're using 2 weapons and 3 pieces on the body. And this is our survivability set. It makes us really tanky, as you saw, almost 30k resistances. So we've got max health, which is good for Red Guard because health is low overall. And then you have a ton of physical and spell resistance. If you saw in the clips, I didn't take a whole lot of damage while I was in Battlegrounds, and this is the reason why. Just a super tanky set. It's easily crafted. I think it's 4 pieces crafted from Clockwork City. So really good. And then the other nice thing about this is you don't have to farm weapons. You can craft these in any trait that you want. So first set is Fortified Brass. Got that on the back bar as well. For our second set, we're using 5 pieces of Bone Pirate, and we're doing 3 pieces of jewelry and 2 pieces on the body. For Bone Pirate, when I was updating this build for Summerset, I just wanted something with a lot of stats. And for a stamina class, you can't get much better than this set as far as adding stats to your build. Tons of stamina. You can see we've got 2 pieces, 2 stamina bonuses, plus the 5th piece gives you about 2k extra stamina. And then we've got 2 stamina recovery bonuses too. So this lets you put more into weapon damage and then also have a high base stamina, which is very important for Battlegrounds since we don't have access to stat padding with CP. This set is really essential to the build, I think. So again, 2 pieces on the body, 3 pieces on the jewelry. And then for our last set, we just went with something purely offensive, just to add that little bit of extra burst to put us over the top. So I went with Celine's here for the 2-piece monster set. This does a nice bit of burst, although there is a slight delay, so hopefully you can catch somebody unaware. You can get them with a stun first so you can get this off. You won't always get it off. It's not a direct guaranteed hit anymore. The other nice plus about this set is you get that extra 1k stamina. Very good for Stamina Templar overall. Love this set. As far then as traits, on the body, just a mix of impen and well fitted. I also have, I think, 2 tri-stat glyphs here. And the reason why is, number 1, we're using Magicka, right? Stamina Templar has a couple Magicka abilities that we need to pump out. And then also the health for Redguard is a little bit low. So that's why I really like tri-stat enchants here. And if you are doing a Redguard, I would recommend even doing a 3rd health piece. So you can see with my legs here, I did a full health glyph just to get me up a little bit higher as far as health. The rest, the small pieces can be all stamina, max stamina. And like I said, a mixture of impen and well fitted. For the jewelry, I have an infused weapon damage glyph, so a nice boost to weapon damage there. I wouldn't recommend that unless you have gold jewelry though. That's how you'll get the most out of the infused trait. And again, the reason why we can run a different trait is because we have so much stamina from being a Redguard and having Bone Pirate on at the same time. Then just another weapon damage enchant and another weapon damage enchant. So running Bone Pirate, we have lots of recovery. Can max out your weapon damage pretty well. For the weapon traits, back bar defending is nice because again we need a bit of extra defense when we're pushing out our heals. So defending is nice. You could also go with infused here to really amp up your weapon damage enchant. And then for the main bar, we're using Nirnhond on the main hand, disease enchant. And then infused for the offhand. I just went with Oblivion here just for a little bit of extra damage to shielding targets. Moving on to our skill bar. So I switched things around a little bit more in Summerset to basically have my bar set up to be purely offense on the front bar and then purely defense on the back bar. I think this has made it a lot easier just to go ham basically and not worry about bar swapping as much as I have had to do in the past on this build. So you'll see a lot of offensive focus here and then defensive focus on the back. So Rending Slashes, this is part of our opener. Lots of damage up front. It does 4 attacks up front. Basically, you've got the 2 hits from your weapons and then 2 hits from your enchants as well. And then a nice bleed, almost 10k unbuffed over 9 seconds. So you can combine this as well with a heavy attack just to do tons of damage. Next, Steel Tornado. We're using this more as a finisher on the build. It does, as you can see, 100% bonus damage to enemies based on their missing health, and it does make use of another execute passive in the do-wield skill line. So as a sort of execute skill, it actually does really good, and the reason why I like it for Battlegrounds is you can hit multiple targets with it, and you don't need to have a target lined up to actually use this ability. You can just hit the Steel Tornado button, and if you are close enough, you can proc that bonus execute damage. So one thing you can do is sort of circle around behind or on the side of somebody who's really low health, or even start moving away towards your next opponent and just hit Steel Tornado a couple of times and hopefully get the kill. So it's a great skill for Battlegrounds, great skill for Stamplar overall. I love it. And the only thing you have to be careful about is spamming it. You don't want to use this more than 2 or 3 times because it does have a high cost for sure. Power of the Light is how we are going to open up our burst. So it's a 6-second window basically of damage. It'll copy all the damage you do and push it out at the end. So we want to start a fight with this, and then hopefully that extra damage will help us finish off the target. Biting Jabs is your main spammable attack. The nice thing about this, as we saw before, is you get the bonus Major Savagery, so 10% weapon critical. It does do a snare as well, making it easier to land, and it just puts out a lot of damage. So I will usually weave in about 1 or 2 of these, and by the time I do my initial burst and a couple of these, it should be enough to finish somebody off with Steel Tornado. Binding Javelin is our stun. It does a pretty good amount of damage, especially if it crits. You can get a nice burst off with this, combined with Power of the Light to start off the fight. But this is also your defensive stun as well, so you can get people off of you, retreat, get defensive, heal up. Dawnbreaker of Smiting is the obvious choice here for the ultimate. Just does a lot of upfront damage in a nice AoE. You can combine this with jabs and then Steel Tornado to do a lot of AoE damage and get down multiple targets at once. So great ultimate here on the front bar. For the back bar, this is our healing and defensive bar. As I said, I've split this build completely between offense and defense. So Resolving Vigor, this is our heal over time, just a nice heal to keep us topped off. Make sure you use this whenever you take damage. Extended Ritual, this is sort of the key to Stamina Templar survivability. It lets you cleanse up to 5 harmful effects. So in Summerset, this will get rid of slows. This will get rid of any type of dot, disabling effect on you, snares. So it's great. It does have a very high cost, so we can't pump out more than 2 of these. So you'll want to be careful. If you are only hit up with, let's say, 1 dot, like a poison injection, I would not waste this. I would wait until I'm dotted up with 2 or 3 skills before I think about using this, because again, you'll only be able to use it 2, maybe 3 times before you run out of magicka and then you're stuck. So save it for when you need it. Repentance, this is an amazing skill. This is the reason why Stamplar is so good in no CP in Battlegrounds. You basically can get all your stamina back just by killing, just by doing damage and being effective. So when you kill a target, you get stamina back. You get stamina back, you can kill more targets, and so on and so on. So it's really good for sustainability. This is why we don't need a lot of stamina recovery on this build. The idea is that you're getting those kills in and you're getting your stamina back with Repentance. It does have a nice little heal as well. Rally is our burst heal though. So we went with Rally instead of Forward Momentum on the build. This is probably the only class where I would do that. I just feel like we don't have a really good class heal. And the fact that we have Extended Ritual means we can purge off snares and roots. So Rally makes sense to me on the Stamplar. I think it's a really good skill to run. You need it obviously for that Major Brutality buff, but you also get the nice heal. So save this for when you need the heal. The longer you have the buff active, the bigger heal you get. Then Restoring Focus is an interesting ability. This is our defensive rune. It gives us major resistances and minor protection and minor vitality. So the buffs are amazing. The only problem with this is it's not good for mobility, right? Because it sets a rune down on the ground and you have to stay there. So I've thought about dropping this actually for something else, because if I'm being really, really mobile, it's going to be hard to keep this up. If I'm chasing people around the map, you know, I'm going to miss out on my rune. But it is really great when you need to just move back a second and gather yourself and be defensive. All the buffs you get out of this is amazing. So I decided to keep it on the build for now. Looking ahead to the next DLC, Wolf Hunter, this is supposed to be getting a buff where it actually stays with you. So I think I'm really looking forward to that. It should make the skill even better in the future. So I'm definitely keeping this on the bar, and we'll see what that looks like. Your ultimate here, you have some options. I like Remembrance though. This is really good for healing you and your group. You get that major protection buff and a lot of extra resistances from our passive, so it makes you almost unkillable for those 4 seconds. So it's really good just to help you almost reset a fight. You'll get some time to restore stamina, get all your health back, and then heal your allies as well. So it's a really good ultimate. That's what I picked for my back bar. So we'll go ahead and look at the CP setup. I don't play a lot of CP campaigns. I mostly play Battlegrounds, which is no CP. So I have looked at this. I think it's pretty decent, but I won't say it's the absolute best there is. You might be able to tweak it and make it a little bit better. 40 into Warlord, 35 Sprinter, 56 into Tenacity. We do a lot of heavy attacks. 7 into Arcanist, 64 Mooncalf, 16 into Shadow Ward. You do want to block a bit. 31 Tumbling, 1 leftover for Befoul, 11 into Blessed, 19 into Physical Weapon Expert, 51 Mastered Arms, 20 Shattering Blows, 51 into Thaumaturge, 23 Precise Strikes, 32 Piercing, 43 Mighty, 51 Ironclad, 35 Resistant, 56 into Hardy, 49 into Elemental, 16 Thick-Skinned, 6 into Expert Defender, 37 into Quick Recovery. So let's go ahead and take a look at our opener and some of the other combos we can use on the Stamplar. So Power of the Light is always going to be your opener. You want to make sure you're adding that burst damage in from the moment you start. So you would open with Power of the Light, followed usually by a Javelin, and this just kind of stuns the target to knock them back. So Power of the Light, Javelin, it's a really solid opener. From there, usually you want to just close the distance while they're stunned from the Javelin and hit them with a heavy attack into a Rending Slash. So something like this, heavy attack, Rending Slash, and you'll see that adds a lot of attacks at once that add to our Power of the Light. From there, you can just go into jabs. Just a couple of jabs is usually enough to get somebody down. If it's not enough, if by that time they are still going, that's when you can use Steel Tornado as kind of an execute. So Rending Slash, couple of jabs, and you can see as they're getting low, you want to be just moving around the target. Always be moving. The mobility on this is really good. And if they get low enough, you can finish off with that Steel Tornado. Alright everybody, that's going to do it for the Unstoppable Stamina Templar build for PvP for Summerset. Hope you liked it. I have had a ton of fun on the build. Definitely give it a try. Let me know what you think. And hey, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, why the heck not? Because there's always more builds and videos coming out every week. So until then, I will see you around in the next video. Peace.